Margarine promised to be the healthier choice, lower cholesterol, better for your heart, the modern alternative to butter. But the truth hiding in that yellow tub is darker than you think. From trans fats masquerading as heart-healthy, spreads to contamination scandals and misleading labels, some margarines can silently damage your cardiovascular system. Today, we're exposing 9 margarine brands you need to avoid and revealing the 2 that won't betray your trust. Coming in at number 9, we've got Shed's Spread Country Crock. For decades, this brand marketed itself as the wholesome, farm-fresh spread perfect for families. The tub shows a cozy countryside scene with rolling green hills and a rustic fence, promising natural ingredients and heart health benefits for everyone around your table. You open the lid, expecting that fresh, creamy dairy smell, but sometimes there's something faintly off. A subtle mustiness that catches in the back of your throat. An almost moldy scent you convince yourself is just imagination. FDA. Inspection reports tell a completely different story from those pastoral images. Multiple production facilities tied to sheds were cited for inadequate sanitation protocols, with visible mold growth detected on processing equipment used to blend and fill the margarine tubs. We're talking about black and green mold colonies growing on mixing paddles and conveyor belts that come into direct contact with the product you're spreading on your morning toast. Seniors with compromised immune systems from conditions like diabetes, cancer treatment, or autoimmune disorders face serious infection risks from mold spores that can infiltrate the product during manufacturing and packaging. Even more troubling than the sanitation failures, independent lab analyses revealed significant inconsistencies in the actual fat content versus what's printed on the nutrition label. Some batches contained up to 18% more saturated fat than declared, while others had trans fat levels just barely under the 0.5 gram threshold that allows them to claim 0 on the label. For those managing cholesterol levels, or taking blood thinners like warfarin or Eliquis, consuming more saturated fat than expected can interfere with medication efficacy and spike LDL cholesterol levels dangerously high. According to the American Heart Association, even a 5% increase in saturated fat intake can raise your risk of coronary events by 17%, and a 10% increase nearly doubles your stroke risk. The creamy yellow spread that looks so innocent sitting on your counter or melting into your toast could be quietly undermining your cardiovascular health every single day without you realizing it. What they promised was countryside purity and wholesome family goodness. What FDA inspectors actually found was contamination, mold growth, and nutritional deception. At number 8, we have Blue Bonnet. This brand built its reputation on being the affordable, reliable choice for American households. The packaging features cheerful branding and claims of being a smart butter substitute that won't break your budget. Yet, behind the bright label lies a troubling pattern of quality control failures that should alarm anyone paying attention. In 2023 alone, consumer complaints about rancid odors and off flavors spiked by over 40% according to FDA adverse event reports compiled from customer submissions. You spread it on warm bread, and instead of melting smoothly into a glossy puddle, it separates into greasy pools with a smell like old cooking oil left in a pan too long, that acrid scent that makes your nose wrinkle. Chemical analysis confirmed that many batches had oxidized fats, which produce harmful compounds including aldehydes and ketones that are linked to inflammation and arterial damage throughout your vascular system. For seniors already dealing with high blood pressure or atherosclerosis, consuming oxidized fats accelerates plaque buildup in blood vessels and increases the risk of arterial rupture. Studies published in the Journal of Clinical Lipidology show that oxidized lipids contribute to endothelial dysfunction, which is the early stage of heart disease that often goes undetected until a cardiac event occurs. Even more concerning for daily consumers, Blue Bonnet has been cited multiple times by state health inspectors for improper storage temperatures during distribution from warehouses to retail locations. Temperatures fluctuating above 45 degrees Fahrenheit create ideal breeding grounds for dangerous pathogens, including Listeria, Salmonella, and Staphylococcus aureus. Seniors on immunosuppressant drugs like prednisone or methotrexate, or those recovering from surgery when their immune systems are already taxed, are especially vulnerable to foodborne pathogens that healthy adults might fight off without issue. The brand promised budget-friendly heart health and family savings. Reality delivered rancid oils, oxidized fats, and hidden bacterial threats. Now at number 7, Fleischmann's Original Margarine. Fleischmann's markets itself as a classic, trusted name with over a century of history serving American families. The label emphasizes tradition and quality with old-fashioned fonts and imagery, suggesting a product you can rely on generation after generation, just like your grandparents did. But recent third-party lab testing commissioned by consumer advocacy groups uncovered disturbing truths hiding beneath that legacy branding and nostalgic marketing. Despite front-label claims of being trans, fat-free with a prominent 0 grams declaration, trace amounts of partially hydrogenated oils were detected in multiple samples tested by independent food safety laboratories using gas chromatography analysis. The FDA allows manufacturers to label products as having zero trans fats if they contain less than 0.5 grams per serving, exploiting a regulatory loophole that misleads consumers. But those trace amounts add up quickly when you're eating margarine daily on your morning toast, cooking vegetables, or baking. For seniors consuming margarine multiple times per day on bread, vegetables, or in cooking and baking, even small doses of trans fats accumulate in arterial walls over months and years. Studies show that just 2 grams of trans fats per day, which is only 4 servings of Fleischmann's if each contains 0.4 grams, can raise your risk of heart attack by 23% according to Harvard Medical School research. Your body cannot efficiently process these chemically altered fats that have had hydrogen atoms forced into their molecular structure, so they lodge in blood vessel linings and trigger chronic inflammation that damages arterial walls. Beyond the hidden trans fat content, inspection records from Fleischmann's processing plants revealed repeated violations for cross-contamination between production lines handling different allergens. Allergens like soy lecithin and dairy proteins were found in supposedly allergen-free batches, posing life-threatening anaphylactic risks for seniors with documented food sensitivities. Imagine the throat tightening, the sudden difficulty breathing, the panic because a product labeled safe for your allergy contained hidden allergens that could kill you. The golden spread that promised a century of trust and family tradition actually hides modern deception and serious cardiovascular danger. Have you noticed how these brands keep getting away with it year after year, despite the violations piling up? Landing at number 6, Parkay Original Spread. Parkay became a household name through decades of advertising claiming superior taste and health benefits over butter, with those memorable talking tub commercials. The animated tub made it seem fun, safe, and family-friendly, a playful choice for your table that even kids would enjoy. But the reality behind the brand is far less cheerful than those nostalgic ads from the 1970s and 80s suggested to millions of American families. FDA recall databases show that Parkay has been involved in multiple voluntary recalls due to potential listeria contamination detected in their production facilities during routine environmental testing. Listeria monocytogenes is especially dangerous for seniors because it can cross the blood-brain barrier and cause bacterial meningitis, a devastating infection of the membranes surrounding the brain and spinal cord which has a mortality rate exceeding 30% in adults over 65, even with aggressive antibiotic treatment. Symptoms often don't appear for weeks or even months after consuming contaminated food, making it nearly impossible to trace back to the contaminated margarine you spread on your sandwich 3 Tuesdays ago or used in your mashed potatoes last month. You might feel fine today, going about your normal routine, then suddenly experience severe headache, stiff neck, high fever, and confusion. Weeks later, when the bacteria has already invaded your central nervous system and begun destroying tissue. Beyond the bacterial contamination risks that make headlines, nutritional analysis reveals that Parkay contains dangerously high levels of omega-6 fatty acids with virtually no omega-3s to balance them, creating a dangerous pro-inflammatory imbalance throughout your body. The ideal ratio recommended by nutritionists is roughly 4:1 omega-6 to omega-3, but Parkay's ratio exceeds 20:1 according to independent testing. For seniors managing arthritis, where joint inflammation causes daily pain, diabetes, where inflammation worsens insulin resistance, or cardiovascular disease, where inflammation destabilizes arterial plaques, this fatty acid imbalance exacerbates existing conditions and accelerates disease progression toward disability and death. The cheerful yellow tub with its playful branding promises fun and superior flavor. FDA inspectors and lab analysis found listeria contamination and inflammatory oils that harm your body. Isn't it strange how billion-dollar food companies keep claiming their products are heart-healthy and doctor-recommended? Coming in at number 5, I can't believe it's not Butter Light. This product revolutionized the margarine market in the 1980s by positioning itself as the ultimate butter alternative that tastes just like the real thing, but with fewer calories and less fat for weight-conscious consumers. The branding is brilliant with that clever name, the taste is convincing enough to fool many people, and millions of seniors switched thinking they were making a healthier choice for their hearts and waistlines. But underneath that familiar buttery flavor that tastes almost too good to be true lies a chemical cocktail oil designed to mimic butter while cutting production costs to maximize corporate profits. When you scoop it out with a knife, the texture is almost too perfect, too uniform, with none of the natural variation you see in real dairy products that come from living animals. Recent consumer advocacy testing commissioned by public interest groups revealed the presence of artificial flavorings, including diacetyl and color additives like beta-carotene, that have been linked to allergic reactions and digestive issues in sensitive individuals who lack the enzymes to process them. More troubling for long-term health are the emulsifiers used to create that creamy, buttery texture that spreads so smoothly. Polysorbate 80 and other industrial emulsifiers borrowed from manufacturing processes have been shown in clinical studies to disrupt beneficial gut bacteria populations and increase intestinal permeability, a condition known as leaky gut syndrome, where the intestinal barrier breaks down. For seniors already struggling with digestive issues like IBS or diverticulitis, or taking multiple medications that affect gut health, including antibiotics and PPIs, these emulsifiers can trigger systemic inflammation, worsen existing IBS symptoms, causing cramping and diarrhea, and interfere with nutrient absorption of critical vitamins and minerals. Research published in the journal Nature found that these additives can reduce beneficial gut bacteria colonies by up to 50% within just weeks of regular consumption. The light, fluffy texture that spreads so easily on bread without tearing hides a laboratory creation filled with synthetic compounds that your digestive system struggles to process properly. Additionally, reports from distribution warehouses indicate inconsistent refrigeration practices during transport, with some pallets sitting at room temperature in loading docks for extended periods before reaching stores. This temperature abuse allows bacterial growth in the dairy-like components and accelerates fat oxidation that creates rancidity. They promised you couldn't believe it wasn't butter and that it was healthier. The truth is, you shouldn't believe their health claims or trust their quality control either. Want the real truth about what's hiding in your fridge and pantry? Subscribe now so you never get blindsided by hidden food dangers that could be harming your health every single day without you knowing. At number 4, Smart Balance Original. Smart Balance positioned itself as the scientific choice for heart health, with marketing heavily emphasizing omega-3 fatty acids, plant sterols, and clinically proven cholesterol reduction backed by research studies. The packaging is covered in heart-healthy certifications, American Heart Association logos, and claims approved by nutritionists and cardiologists. For years, doctors even recommended it specifically to patients managing high cholesterol, trusting the science-backed branding and professional endorsements. But independent investigations conducted by consumer protection agencies have exposed significant gaps between marketing promises and actual product safety that should concern anyone relying on this product. While Smart Balance does contain plant sterols that can lower cholesterol absorption by blocking it in your intestines, it also contains dangerously high amounts of heavily processed vegetable oils, including soybean and canola oil, that have been heated and chemically altered during industrial manufacturing. These processing methods involve temperatures exceeding 400 degrees Fahrenheit and chemical solvents like hexane, which create oxidized lipids and potentially harmful byproducts, including free radicals that your cardiovascular system cannot properly metabolize or eliminate. For seniors with existing cardiovascular disease, including previous heart attacks or strokes, consuming these oxidized lipids can actually worsen arterial inflammation and plaque instability, increasing the risk of another cardiac event or stroke. Furthermore, Consumer Reports documented multiple cases where Smart Balance tubs developed visible mold growth in fuzzy patches around the edges, despite being well within the expiration date, printed on the label, and being properly refrigerated in home kitchens at correct temperatures. The fuzzy green or black growth indicates contamination during the filling process at the factory or compromised packaging. Seals that allowed airborne spores inside the container. For seniors with respiratory conditions like asthma or COPD, exposure to mold spores can trigger serious breathing complications, exacerbate lung inflammation, and cause potentially fatal asthma attacks requiring emergency hospitalization. FDA warning letters sent to the manufacturing facilities cited inadequate cleaning protocols between production runs, failure to maintain proper environmental controls, including air filtration in production areas, and insufficient employee hygiene training. The brand that promised smart, science-based choices for your cardiovascular health delivered oxidized oils that damage arteries and moldy containers that threaten respiratory health. What's the worst margarine you've ever opened? Drop it in the comments below and share your experience. Coming in at number 3, Brummel and Brown. This brand carved out a premium niche in the crowded margarine market by blending margarine with yogurt, claiming to offer the best of both worlds with added protein for muscle maintenance and probiotics for digestive health. The marketing specifically targets health-conscious seniors looking for functional foods that do more than just taste good, foods that actively support wellness. The creamy, tangy flavor and smooth spreadability made it popular for those wanting something something different from standard margarine. You can taste that slight sourness, that distinct yogurt tang that makes it feel sophisticated and European. But behind the yogurt-enhanced promise and premium price point lies a troubling web of quality control failures and misleading nutrition information that amounts to consumer fraud. Third-party testing commissioned by independent consumer watchdog groups found that the probiotic content advertised prominently on the label, claiming billions of beneficial bacteria, was vastly overstated and scientifically questionable. By the time the product reached store shelves after weeks in distribution chains, viable probiotic bacteria counts had plummeted to less than 10% of claimed amounts, rendering any digestive health benefits essentially worthless. For seniors who purchased this product specifically for gut health support to manage IBS or improve regularity, they were paying premium prices of 50 to 100% more than regular margarine for completely false promises. Even more concerning from a food safety perspective, the yogurt component introduces additional contamination risks that straight margarine without dairy doesn't face dairy-based products, require much stricter temperature control throughout the supply chain, and have shorter safe shelf lives due to active bacterial cultures that continue growing. Inspection reports from retail locations found that Brummel and Brown was frequently stored improperly in warehouses and store back rooms, with temperatures fluctuating dangerously above safe thresholds of 40 degrees Fahrenheit. This temperature abuse accelerates spoilage exponentially and promotes bacterial growth, particularly dangerous strains like E. coli and soy O157:H7 and Salmonella enterica that thrive in dairy environments and cause severe illness. According to CDC data, seniors account for nearly 60% of all foodborne illness hospitalizations, despite being only 16% of the population, because their immune systems can't fight infections as effectively. Seniors with weakened immune systems from chemotherapy or autoimmune diseases, or those taking acid-reducing medications like omeprazole and pantoprazole for GERD, have significantly reduced stomach acid levels to fight off these dangerous pathogens when they enter the digestive system. The tangy, creamy spread that promised probiotics and digestive health delivered false claims that waste your money and bacterial contamination risks that could hospitalize you. Why do you think the FDA lets margarine brands use ingredients and processing methods that are banned outright in Europe and other developed countries with stricter food safety standards? Now at number 2, Earth Balance Original Buttery Spread. Earth Balance became the darling of the health food movement and natural product stores, marketing itself aggressively as vegan, non-GMO verified, organic, and free from all the bad stuff found in conventional margarines that health-conscious consumers avoid. The brand appeals directly to seniors who want clean eating and are willing to pay premium prices of $7 or $8 per tub for supposed purity and ethical production. The earthy packaging with green colors and organic certifications creates an aura of trustworthiness and transparency that makes you feel good about your purchase and your values. But scratch beneath the organic surface with its feel-good marketing, and you'll find troubling realities that contradict the wholesome image the company projects. Despite being entirely plant-based without any animal products, Earth Balance relies heavily on palm oil and palm kernel oil, which require extensive chemical processing and high heat treatment to remain solid at room temperature instead of staying liquid like most plant oils naturally do. The refining process involves temperatures exceeding 450 degrees Fahrenheit and chemical treatments including bleaching and deodorizing that strip away natural antioxidants and vitamins while creating trans fatty acid isomers that don't have to be labeled under current FDA regulations due to loopholes. These hidden trans fats created during processing behave biochemically, just like the partially hydrogenated oils everyone knows to avoid and that were finally banned, raising LDL and lowering HDL cholesterol. For seniors managing their cholesterol levels through diet and statin medications like atorvastatin, consuming these unlabeled trans fats can raise LDL cholesterol levels and lower protective HDL cholesterol, exactly the opposite of what they're trying to achieve by switching from butter to this supposedly healthier alternative. Additionally, investigations into Earth Balance's supply chain and sourcing revealed troubling inconsistencies in organic certification verification across different production batches from different facilities. Some batches tested positive for pesticide residues, including glyphosate herbicide and synthetic fungicides that absolutely shouldn't be present in certified organic products, according to strict USDA organic standards. The premium price seniors pay, sometimes 3 times the cost of conventional margarine, For organic purity and environmental sustainability doesn't always translate to actual organic ingredients in every tub on the shelf. Manufacturing facility inspections also noted serious concerns about cross-contamination between production lines, handling different allergens, including tree nuts, and soy. Seniors with severe nut allergies that can cause anaphylaxis faced undisclosed exposure risks from shared equipment that wasn't properly cleaned between runs. The brand that promised plant-based purity, environmental responsibility, and complete transparency delivered hidden trans fats, pesticide contamination, and allergen cross-contamination that betrays customer trust. Most people never realize that organic labels don't actually protect you from dangerous processing methods that create harmful compounds, but we'll explain exactly what actually matters for your safety at the very end of this video. Coming in at number 1, the worst margarine brand you absolutely need to avoid is Imperial margarine. Imperial has been a staple in American kitchens for generations, known primarily for its rock-bottom prices and wide availability at every grocery store, convenience store, and gas station across the country. The crown logo suggests royalty and quality, implying through visual marketing that even budget shoppers on tight incomes deserve something special. For seniors on fixed incomes, surviving on Social Security checks that barely cover rent, utilities, and medications, Imperial seems like a practical choice that doesn't sacrifice too much quality for affordability. But the truth behind Imperial is the darkest of all the brands we've covered in this investigation. This is margarine manufacturing at its absolute worst, where cost-cutting takes priority over every single aspect of safety, quality, and nutrition. FDA inspection reports paint a disturbing picture of the facilities producing Imperial that should horrify anyone who has ever consumed this product. Repeat violations documented across multiple facilities include rodent droppings found near ingredient storage areas where raw materials are kept, inadequate pest control systems failing to keep vermin out, and consistent failure to maintain proper sanitation standards on production lines where food is manufactured. The visual evidence documented by government inspectors with photographs shows thick grease buildup on mixing equipment, creating bacterial colonies, pooled water on floors creating perfect breeding grounds for dangerous pathogens, and employees failing to follow even basic hygiene protocols like hand washing after bathroom breaks and wearing required hairnets. For seniors whose immune systems are already compromised by age, chronic diseases, or medications like chemotherapy, immunosuppressants, or steroids, consuming products manufactured in these filthy conditions can lead to serious foodborne illness requiring hospitalization and potentially causing death in those with severely weakened immunity. But the deplorable facility conditions are just the beginning of Imperial's failures. Chemical analysis of Imperial margarine by independent laboratories reveals it contains some of the highest levels of artificial additives, preservatives, and synthetic flavorings found in any margarine product tested in recent consumer surveys. The ingredient list reads like a chemistry experiment with unpronounceable compounds, designed to extend shelf life indefinitely to reduce waste and create artificial butter flavor without using any real dairy products. Many of these additives, including BHA, BHT, and tertiary butyl hydroquinone, have been linked to allergic reactions, digestive distress, and potential hormone disruption in animal studies, though long-term human studies are still lacking. For seniors taking multiple medications daily for conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease, these chemical additives can interact unpredictably with prescriptions, altering drug metabolism in the liver through enzyme inhibition and reducing medication effectiveness when you need those drugs to work properly. Nutritionally, Imperial is almost entirely composed of highly refined soybean and cottonseed oils that have been bleached to remove color, deodorized to remove smell, and chemically altered through partial hydrogenation to remain solid at room temperature instead of liquid. These oils are so far removed from their natural plant sources through intensive processing that your body barely recognizes them as food anymore. The omega-6 fatty acid content is off the charts with virtually zero balancing omega-3s, creating a perfect storm of chronic systemic inflammation. Clinical research links this severe fatty acid imbalance to dramatically increased rates of heart disease, ischemic stroke, accelerated cognitive decline leading to dementia, and arthritis progression causing joint destruction. All conditions seniors are desperately trying to avoid through careful diet. Consumer complaints filed with the FDA describe finding foreign objects embedded in Imperial margarine, including plastic fragments that could cause choking, metal shavings from machinery that could lacerate the digestive tract, and unidentified particles that couldn't be identified even upon inspection. These contamination incidents suggest catastrophic failures in quality control and ingredient screening at multiple points in the production process. Beyond the physical dangers and health risks, there's the fundamental betrayal of trust. Imperial markets itself as the affordable everyday choice for hardworking families who are trying their best. The reality is a dangerous product manufactured in filthy conditions, filled with inflammatory oils that damage your cardiovascular system, synthetic chemicals that interact with medications, and contamination risks that could hospitalize you. Seniors scraping by on Social Security checks that average only $1,800 per month choose Imperial thinking. They're making a reasonable compromise to save a few dollars for other necessities. Instead, they're consuming a product that actively harms their cardiovascular system, digestive health, and overall well-being with every bite they take. The crown on the package promises quality fit for royalty. Government inspectors found rodent droppings, mold growth, and chemical additives. Don't go anywhere yet. The solution that actually protects your health and gives you safe options is coming at the very end, and most people never learn what to look for when shopping. Now let's talk about what you should actually buy. The first actual safe option is Miyoko's Creamery European-style cultured vegan butter. This product is produced in a certified organic facility with rigorous third-party safety audits conducted quarterly and full supply chain transparency that you can verify online. Made from cultured cashew cream and organic coconut oil with minimal processing that preserves natural nutrients instead of destroying them with excessive heat. No artificial additives, no hidden trans fats, and consistently passing all FDA inspections with zero violations on record since the company started operations. The cultured process creates natural butter flavor through traditional fermentation without synthetic chemicals, making it safe for seniors managing heart health, cholesterol levels, and chronic inflammation. Independent lab testing confirms the label accuracy matches the actual product contents, so what you see printed is actually what you get inside. When you open the container, you smell real cultured notes, almost like European butter with that slight tanginess from fermentation. The texture spreads smoothly without separating into oil pools or leaving a greasy residue. Seniors can trust the creamy, rich flavor without worrying about hidden cardiovascular dangers, bacterial contamination lurking inside, or misleading labels. The second recommendation is Kerry Gold Naturally Softer, Pure Irish Butter. While technically butter rather than margarine, this provides the spreadable convenience seniors want without margarine's processing dangers. Made from grass-fed Irish cream with natural softness requiring no hydrogenation or chemical processing whatsoever. Strict European Union safety standards ensure bacterial testing and quality control protocols far exceeding U.S. requirements. Rich in natural omega-3 fatty acids from grass-fed cows, providing anti-inflammatory benefits instead of the pro-inflammatory omega-6 overload found in conventional margarines. The cows graze on lush Irish pastures year-round, which creates a naturally softer butter with better fatty acid profiles and higher vitamin K2. Consistent cold chain management from production through distribution protects against spoilage and contamination at every step. For seniors prioritizing heart health without sacrificing convenience and taste, this offers real butter flavor with spreadable texture straight from the refrigerator and genuine nutritional benefits your body actually recognizes as food. Don't risk your heart health on margarine brands that hide dangers behind health claims and manipulative marketing. These companies count on you not reading inspection reports, not questioning their marketing claims, and not realizing that cheap often means contaminated and dangerous. Your cardiovascular system, your immune function, and your medication effectiveness all depend on avoiding the inflammatory oils, bacterial risks, and chemical additives hiding in those yellow tubs. The two options we just shared give you spreadability without the betrayal of trust. Subscribe now and I'll show you which everyday foods are actually safe versus which ones are quietly harming you every single week. Your health depends on knowing the truth. And if you're watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.